Hello, my name is Stewart Carroll and welcome to Drone Film Guide, the channel where we learn to fly like filmmakers. I'm here in sunny Portugal with Western Digital and SanDisk, and I have to say it is a bit toasty for a Scotsman like myself, so excuse my scruffy appearance. I have worked on the assumption that you come to this channel for the information and not the way that I look. If I'm wrong about that, you can let me know in the comments below. So we're talking about intelligent flight modes, specifically course lock and tap fly free mode. When we first got the Mavic Air, I bemoaned the fact, put that down, I complained that it did not have course lock, and a lot of you rightly pointed out that it has a tap fly free mode, which is a pretty good alternative. So when Alina and I were in Spain a couple of weeks ago, we walked to the top of a cliff face to put this mode to the test, and we're getting back to you now with our conclusions. So very briefly, what is it that we're trying to achieve with course lock and tap fly free? We'll start with course lock. If you set a course with course lock and push forward on the right stick, no matter what you do with any of the other flight inputs, the drone will continue to fly in that direction. Now, where that becomes particularly cool from a cinematic perspective is it allows you to fly forwards whilst rotating the drone / the camera around a subject, creating these big sweeping rotational moves while the drone continues to go on the course that you set. It's a move that would be virtually impossible to fly manually, and it's incredibly cinematic and incredibly powerful, and that's one of the reasons that we love it. Without course lock, if you push forward on the right stick and let's say you input some left on the yaw, the drone is just going to go like that. So not only can you control the yaw motion, but you can control the gimbal tilt and you can control an altitude change. So we've created some really quite advanced moves with course lock, and we love it in that respect. It's almost like having a dual control drone whereby DJI is your pilot and that leaves you free to control the camera movement and create these composite moves that really look very, very professional. Tap fly achieves the same goal in as much as you tap where the drone wants to go and thereafter you're free to control the parameters. So in many respects, the two modes are very, very similar. The beauty of these two modes is that they are semi-automated, so DJI still leaves a big element of control in your hands. It doesn't take full control, unlike Active Track where DJI pretty much takes full control of the movement, which can be very cool as well. But from a cinematic control perspective, you might want to get a little bit more hands-on. So it's semi-automated as opposed to fully automated, and it really allows you to get creative. So here we are inside the DJI Go app, and you can see Alina standing there looking elegant in her red dress in the lower left third. The four icons on the left hand side there, if you click the third one down, which is a remote controller, it brings up your flight modes, and tap fly there is second from the right on the bottom row. Click on tap fly. Within tap fly you have four options. You have forward, reverse, free and coordinate. In forward mode, when you tap on the screen, the drone will fly forwards in the direction in which you tapped. Reverse is the same idea but flying backwards, and coordinate is pretty much the same. The difference is that it will stop at a certain point as opposed to keep flying. Now, the one that we really are interested in is free, because in free mode, you tap on the screen and the drone flies its course, much like course lock, but you are free to move the yaw stick without changing the course of the drone. So when you click on free mode, a couple of things pop up on the screen. The horizontal line is the horizon line, so align that line with your horizon. The slider at the right hand side is the speed at which the drone will fly as and when you give it the instruction to do so. This is different from course lock, whereby you control the speed manually by pushing the right stick forwards. So to get this show on the road, you tap on the screen, a green circle appears with the word go in the middle, tap again, and the drone starts going in that direction. Hence the beauty of tap fly, and in free mode you are then free to do with the other flight parameters as you wish. So let me just jump in for a wee second while I give our 8-hour drone cinematography masterclass a wee plug. Alina and I created this 8-hour drone education over winter, and it is this immersive, enjoyable filmmaking education. We focus on mostly the art of drone cinematography as opposed to necessarily the technical side, and in that respect it really is quite unique. We take you from drone owner to drone pilot to drone cinematographer with reference to dozens of Hollywood examples and just all our experience over the last 4 years or so flying drones, in the last 10 years or so running 2 production companies, goes into that course. So if you're remotely interested in that, check out the link below. There's a discount code embedded in it so you can save some money, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no downside to checking that out. I would also like to thank SanDisk/Western Digital for bringing us to Portugal to meet a whole bunch of other bloggers, Instagrammers, influencers, to use the generic term. We got a baseball cap, but in addition to the baseball cap, we were given a whole bunch of products, which I have to say, it doesn't really burden me having to bring these to your attention, because we've been using SanDisk products from day one. If you own a digital camera, you're going to be using SanDisk products in all likelihood, and I think we have about 45 Western Digital external hard drives at home. This is a solid state hard drive, so if I drop that, oops, I just dropped it, but I didn't just destroy everything that's inside it. So for traveling, you probably want one of these, and for editing quite intensively 4K footage, you want the speed that that brings as well. That's a very nice piece of kit. And also for traveling, the My Passport wireless SSD. We did a video on this previously, actually. This hard drive, solid state hard drive, that allows you to plug your SD cards into it so you can back up directly to the hard drive, bypassing your £2,000 laptop that you may have. So if you're somewhere a little bit dodgy, or you don't want to take your computer with you, you can avoid that. You can also charge your phone on it, which if you have an iPhone is pretty much a necessity, because these have a habit of just switching off, especially if the weather gets a little bit cold, and if you're flying at the same time, that's not good. And because of the wireless functionality of it, you can monitor what's on the hard drive also, so it's a pretty cool piece of kit. So thank you for your generosity in sponsoring this channel for some of these videos and for bringing us to Portugal. Very much appreciated. Right, let's crack on. So I want to bring a couple of things to your attention when using both Course Lock and Tap Fly Free Mode. The first thing is the concept of motion blur and creating cinematic footage. Now, we've done quite an intensive study on the use of neutral density filters. We've put out, or about to put out, a second video on ND filters, because there's so much confusion surrounding the use of ND filters. Now, motion can come in two forms. It can come in the form of me moving in front of the camera, or it can come in the form of camera movement, which creates a fair bit of motion around the perimeter of the frame. In these two intelligent flight modes, we're talking about the latter. And let's say you've got a static subject, but you're doing a big sweeping arcing motion. You want to get that kind of smooth motion blur around the perimeter of the frame. And to do that, you're going to want to use an ND filter to bring your shutter down to the appropriate level that gives you the motion blur that is desirable. Not going to get into that again here, but for the purposes of this exercise, you really do want to be using ND filters if you have a fair bit of motion, which you will have if you're using Tap Fly Free or Course Lock. We've used a whole bunch of ND filters in the past. Some are better than others. I don't have them to hand here, such good planning, but we're using Polar Pro Cinema Series ND filters on our Mavic Air. They've not paid us to plug them, although they did send us them, which was pretty cool. But they really are very good. It's the higher end of the range. They have a cheaper version that we would just recommend that you go straight to the high-end ND filters if you're going to bother with ND filters at all. You don't want to have any problems with colors being messed up, or soft footage, or glare, or reflections, or anything like that. With these Polar Pro Cinema Series ND filters, we haven't seen any difference between the non-ND and the ND footage. So get yourself some ND filters if you're pulling out some of these moves. The second thing that you're going to need is a good controllable Yaw Stick. Now, to do that, you need to get your EXP settings dialed all the way down, so when you touch that Yaw Stick, there's a nice smooth, gentle roll into the yaw maneuver. It doesn't just go boom. As soon as the drone goes boom, that's, you just ruined your shot. It is not cinematic anymore. You need to have it nice and smooth. So get your EXP settings dialed down. If that's foreign language to you, we have a video on that as well. So check that out, link in the description. So let's talk about a couple of nuanced differences between Course Lock and Tap Fly Free, because we are a little bit old school and we kind of like Course Lock, and Tap Fly Free brings its own pros and cons. First of all, let's talk about the benefits of Tap Fly Free mode. There are fewer button taps to engage Tap Fly Free mode, and Course Lock is a little bit cumbersome to engage, so I certainly liked that very much with tap fly free. The other thing with tap fly free is because you're tapping on the screen where you want the drone to go, it gives you a very accurate ability to control your heading. Now, I don't know if you've ever had, let's say you're filming a person and you want to fly to the side of the person. So I position the drone in what I think is the correct heading, and I start pushing forward on the right stick to fly forward. So I go past the side of the person, I'm going to rotate around them, blah, 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 blah. Next thing I know, I'm not flying past the side of them, I'm flying straight at them, and I have to abandon the maneuver, and it's all a big disaster. Well, I get that all the time with course lock. I don't know what it is, it might just be my eyes or something, but I just don't seem to quite manage to set my heading perfectly first time round. With tap fly free, you don't have that issue, so I did like that very much with tap fly free. Now, offsetting the ease of speeding up tap fly free is the fact that you only get one bite at the cherry with tap fly free. Once your move has finished, you have to come out of the mode, rotate the drone around, reset essentially, find a new heading, click go, and you go again, and then you get another opportunity to pull off your maneuver. What I loved about course lock is that once you'd set the course and you push forward and you have a shot at your maneuver, all you have to do to repeat the move in reverse is you just pull back. So you can push forwards, back all day long, and the drone is going to fly up and down that course that you set, and you get as many shots as you want at creating that rotation move around your subject, because it's quite a difficult thing to do, and especially if you get really advanced and start putting some gimbal moves in, the chances are you're not going to get it right first time. So you need to practice it, you need a few shots at it. And for me, this is why if I had to choose between the two, I would use course lock, because in these moves, I don't get them right first time. And having to constantly reset tap fly and fly back to my original position, it's very time consuming, it uses a lot of battery. You don't actually get right into the exact position necessarily second time around as well, so you don't really get that learning curve that you do with course lock. So maybe you have a different experience, that's just my own personal take on it, but my preference would be course lock for that reason. So anyway, details, they're both great modes, and I would encourage you to try them both. If you can master some of these moves in a slightly more controlled, planned environment, you're going to be able to separate your work from those of your peers. There's a lot of people out there now flying drones. If you're trying to do this commercially, as a freelance drone operator, for example, you're going to be competing with a lot of people who are going to be bidding the rates down, and you're going to have to provide people with a reason to invest in your service. Learn your craft, and you're going to get some great results with course lock or tap fly free. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject as always. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think. We all learn a lot from different people's experiences, and I learn a lot as well from what you have to say. Don't forget to join the Drone Film Guide Club, which is our mailing list essentially, whereby we can keep you up to date with new events at Drone Film Guide. And also, we're getting all very modern. We have an Instagram page, which I have to say, social media isn't my forte, but we're having quite a good time with Instagram, posting some nice photos behind the scenes, things that we're doing here in Portugal, Spain. So check it out if you want to kind of follow our journey on Instagram. It's quite good fun. I'll put the Instagram name here, so keep an eye on that as well. Subscribe to the channel, etc., etc., and we will see you next time on Drone Film Guide.